Bluetooth connected.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
In respect of the observance of the law, all persons in Trinidad and Tobago, every single person in Trinidad and Tobago, whether you happen to be a funder of the People's National Movement, whether you happen to be a member of the 1%, if you break the law, if you cross that line that would excite the member for Tunapuna, I want to be very careful. The member for Tunapuna, whose job it is to write PDOs.
It's not a political thing. It's not a political thing. I don't know why people think it. And I am somewhat embarrassed by that. Why a person would think such a thing?
Well, then you know what? Whether you are a black man from the Beta, or whether you happen to live in Bayshore and are stealing government land and property, I don't know. Whether, I'm just saying whether. I'm just saying whether you happen to be doing that, whether you happen to have called the office of the Attorney General essentially at midnight on the 28th, when the results of the elections were coming in, to say, listen, get that lease fixed up for me now. Right? Whether you happen to be any of those persons, you know what? The member for Tunapuna, I am sure. Sorry, I can't call you anything else. The member for Tunapuna and the Minister of Homeland Security will certainly put you on a PDO with Pipey and Rajiali down in Tetra.
What?
Let me see that again.
You know what? The member for Tunapuna, I am sure. Sorry, I can't call you anything else. The member for Tunapuna and the Minister of Homeland Security will certainly put you on a PDO with Pipey and Rajiali down in Tetra.
A few moments later.
And let me say again one more time. No government minister cannot instruct anyone to take out a PDO for anybody. It doesn't work like that. And if that's your information, you were highly misled.
That goes, my page. So, ladies and gentlemen, good night. Whether I live in Bayshore, good night. Whether he is a black man from the Beatum, good night. Whether you're from any part of Trinidad and Tobago, good night. You know, listening to John Jeremie back in the parliament, when he would have brought to the forefront the stealing of government land. And the word he uses, weather. And when he will also describe somebody from the Beatum as a black man, and again he said weather. And when he will talk about calling election night at midnight and said, get my lease fixed up immediately, he come back and he said that the member for Tonapuna will put you on a PDO. So it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, my question tonight to Trinidad and Tobago is, can you trust that man? Can you trust John Jeremie, the Attorney General? And for those of you who believe that you could trust John Jeremie, I want to say good for you. But I have no confidence whatsoever in the Attorney General. I have no confidence whatsoever in the homeland, whatever you want to call him. I have no confidence in Kamla Prasad Bisesa government. Absolutely none. And if you want to mamaga yourself, if you want to papi show yourself, if you want to convince yourself that these people that sits in government is people that you feel that you have confidence in, that's your problem and that's your business. But I have no confidence in this government. Ladies and gentlemen, one cannot at any given time bathe in mud and while you're muddy, put on a suit and feel you're clean. One cannot bathe in mud and put on a suit, deodorant, and step outside and tell yourself you're clean. You're only fooling yourself. Where am I going? Hold on. These people, ladies and gentlemen, that is sitting in government, I want to take you back first before we go to 2010 to 2015. I want to take you back to 2007. In 2007, ladies and gentlemen, on the 20th of December 2007, a report was laid to the then President of Trinidad and Tobago, none other than His Excellency George Maxwell Richards. Inside of that document, ladies and gentlemen, would have explained and expressed the level of thinking, the level of behavior that people who hold high office, their conduct. A matter of fact, the then criminal justice chairman wrote to the Commissioner of Police asking for an investigation into the conduct of John Jeremie. A matter of fact, Rudal Monilal is quoted on the Express back then as saying that there should be an investigation to examine what he calls at the time what can only be misbehavior in public office. He was calling for an investigation into John Jeremie. And tonight I want to ask Monilal a question. I want to ask Monilal if he have a change of heart about John Jeremie conduct, seeing that now he supports John Jeremie as the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago. You cannot bathe in mud and put on a suit and feel that you're clean. When you look at the scenario, what took place, the collaboration to what Lord must still describe as political interference in natural justice. Who is to tell me today that there is not political interference in the Hadith's case? But it's active, so I'll leave it right there for now. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask Trinidad and Tobago why it is the people of this country, because of partisanship, will allow a rotten egg to spoil the whole crate. You know what's the problem here now? The problem is there is not one rotten egg alone in the crate. I think we have to examine the crate now and see if we could get 2 good eggs out of the lot. Because when it's not live sport, it's 3 million in a bank account. When it's not 3 million in a bank account, it is landmark TT. When it's not landmark TT, it is housing contracts. When it's not housing contracts, it is some minister allegedly playing with some boy. When it's not playing with a boy, it is, ladies and gentlemen, a bunch of rotten eggs sitting in a crate, having a shell that appears to look like a good egg. But let me tell you something. If you bust one, they stink. That is what we reach to in this country, and that is what the fanatics support. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask Kamla Prasad Bisesa tonight, the Prime Minister of this country, and take all the time with this honorable dotishness, so let us come around me with it. Because I tell you already, To get that from me, you have to earn it. You have to earn it. It is not just a title that you put on behind our office. Show me your fruits. Show me your fruits. And by your fruits, the scripture said, you shall know them. So don't come wrong me with this honorable business unless people in walking, acting, speaking, performing in an honorable manner. So I want to ask the Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa tonight. Madam Prime Minister, what was your position in 2007 as it relates to John Jeremie conduct? What words did you echo, Madam Prime Minister, in 2007 when the opposition party that you had belonged to at the time, when it was said that there were political maneuvering in order to lock up Pandey, in order to impeach the former Chief Justice, when all you see that report from Lord Mustill, what did you people said? What was the cry? On the Monday Night Forum, when Munilal called for the investigation into John Jeremie, what was the cry of the opposition members back then? Wasn't you people the same people that condemn the actions of that Attorney General back then? Wasn't you people on the Express, on the daily newspaper, the print media, on the electronic media, crying foul, crying out disgrace, crying out the government going after political opponents? Was that your cry back then, Madam Prasad Bisesa? So what perfume, what suit, what perfume that John Jeremie spray that today in 2026, from 2025, all in a sudden, John Jeremie is the best thing after my wife homemade bread. The best thing. It is John, the first person to be sworn in after you, Madam Prime Minister, was John Jeremie. So in 2007, John Jeremie wasn't good. But in 2025, 2026, John Jeremie is the best thing after my wife's bread. That is the level of hypocrisy that is extended to the people of this country today. But you know what? The people of this country accept it. The people of this country welcome it. The people of this country enjoying it. That is where we are. How come, ladies and gentlemen, that something that wasn't good for the UNC in 2007, it is now the best thing for the UNC? It was not Victor Roberts' inquiry into John Jeremie, you know. I am just quoting and reiterating what is inside of the document. John Jeremie had a superb name inside the document. The name of John Jeremie in the document was the facilitator. The commission asked John Jeremie to come in and clear himself. What did John Jeremie did? He did not appear, ladies and gentlemen. He did not appear in front of the commission. We must ask John Jeremie today, why didn't you appear in front of that commission, Mr. Attorney General? What was the problem that you could not appear? But Trinidad and Tobago applaud the move by Kamla Persad-Bissessar to bring John Jeremie into the same office that they were running him from back in 2007. I want to ask a question here now. I want to ask a question. When Patrick Manning decided to bring back John Jeremie, I want to ask a question. Were there members of the PNM who were objecting to the return of John Jeremie? I want to ask another question. Is there anybody sitting in the parliament today who was objecting to the return of John Jeremie back at that time? You see, asking that question. So in the parliament, when he say, I will come for you, and I will come for you, not you, but you, I want to ask if anybody's still there. One of the persons that were very much vocal with the return of John Jeremie as Attorney General was the former Prime Minister. The former Prime Minister was very much vocal. And today, we understand quite clearly why one had to be vocal as it relates to the return of John Jeremie. Because after that document was laid and the facts came out in that document, and Jeremie refused to answer, to go to that inquiry, to answer certain pertinent questions, you don't expect people to object the return of John Jeremie. But guess what? John Jeremie is the best thing for the UNC. John Jeremie is the best thing for the UNC.
You looking at me? I happy. But when you look at the political leader and Prime Minister of the United National Congress, her grandmother, who has served this country for however long, never had one standard raised against her, I will go to war with you. 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 My friends down the road there, you okay?
You understand? I will go to war with you. I will go to war with you. And I'll go to war with you. But my friends down the road, are you okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you what I saw there, you know. I want to tell you what Victor, what's my opinion. This is my opinion. What I saw coming out of going to war with you and you and you, and not only down the road, I am seeing, and my opinion, not aspersions, I am seeing, in my opinion, a vendetta against certain members that sits in the parliament on the opposite side to John Jeremie. That is what I am seeing. That is what I am feeling. That is what it appears like. Can John Jeremie be trusted, ladies and gentlemen? That is the question that this country must ask itself. Can this man be trusted? With the anti-corruption unit under his purview? Can this man be trusted with the spy agents who spy on all of us on our electronic device? They spy on all now. Can this man be trusted with the information that may very well be disseminated from those institutions under his purview? I mean, come on now, Kamala, come on. After that same report that only didn't want to see John Jeremie, after that same report that caused the PNM to move these institutions from under the office of the Attorney General, all you put it back there? Is this a convenient business going on here now? Under the PNM, it wasn't good there. Under the PNM, it was interference, political interference. But under the UNC, is honky-dory. This country not thinking of what? This country ain't seeing the dangers with these two institutions under the office of John Jeremie. This country ain't seeing that it could very well have some level of facilitating taking place inside there. This country ain't seeing that certain matters, high profile matters, may very well have to go down the drain because it can be contaminated. Because if he must still report, suggest it had contamination as it relates to Pandey and Chachama. Why it can't have contamination now? I will tell you why it can't have contamination. Because when you bathe in mud in this country and you put on a suit and spray some perfume, you're clean. When you bathe in mud and put on a suit and spray some perfume in Trinidad and Tobago, you're very well clean. So what happened in 2007 cannot happen in 2026. Because when you put on a suit, you bathe in mud and you put on a suit, you spray some deodorant, some perfume on you, you're clean, you're nice. You rub a little deodorant under your arm on the mud, you put on a nice suit, and you're clean, everything nice. That is what this country accepts. Ladies and gentlemen, the PDO man who said that he is sometimes embarrassed because it doesn't work like that. It is not your job. Jeremy says your job, you know, he says he member from Tonapuna. I know if you're talking about a member from some little boys club. But he said he member from Tonapuna. And to make it clear, he came back and said the Minister of Homeland Security, whose job it is to write, you know, PDOs. And then the man came to the public and said, it doesn't work like that. He doesn't have the jurisdiction. It don't happen like that. But guess what? While he cannot, while it doesn't work like that, you know what? He rescinding PDOs, you know. His job is to recall PDOs. He can't write it, he can't issue it, but he could rescind it. A bunch of jokers in this country. A bunch of jokers in this country that people believe that everything is everything. That is what people believe. So let me deal with Ms. Kamla Persad Bissessa now. Ms. Persad Bissessa, I want to ask you today, what is the criteria to select a minister in your government? I want to ask you, what is the qualifications to select a minister in your government? And while people thinking, let me share this with you. To be a minister, a cabinet minister in the UNC, you have to have a PhD. That is one. You also need to have a CPD. You must also have on your belts a qualification that they call TFG. And the next one you must have is a TMB. Don't worry, watch me like that. Don't watch me like that. I never said 3 million in a bank. I didn't say that. So don't watch me like if it's that I say. I just talking about some qualification. Right? So don't watch me like that. So I waiting for the Prime Minister to tell this country what is the qualification you have to possess in order to be a minister. We have 3 ministers in one ministry. We have Anil Roberts. We have Philip A. Alexander. Oh, you want to know what the A for? Well, let me say it correct. E. So we have Philip E. Alexander. I get mistaken when I hear somebody over the bridge last week put an A to his name now. Somebody from over the bridge. So I get mixed up. I thought that A was really,
that was that's only logical.
Yeah, I thought that A was really, but I thought it was Philip A. Alexander. But all right. So we go put the E, right? Because Edward, right? So I just mistaken because the way the man talked about this A, I really thought that was part of his name, right? So let me fix that. And we have David Lee. So we have Anil Roberts, we have Philip Alexander, we have David Lee, and the most important person in that ministry is the 6-foot man. You remember we saw a story recently on the media about this 6-foot man? But I know who is the 6-foot man.
Yeah, but who is it? I want to tell you 6-foot man.
I know who is the 6-foot man. The 6-foot man, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the most deadliest man in the UNC. The 6-foot man. He always speak very quiet. He operates in a conservative manner. He always dress with a shirt. And I ain't telling you what color vehicle he just drive. The 6-foot man have all the aforementioned qualifications. All. So that takes care of that ministry. Let me go to another ministry. I call it, but before I go to that ministry, I want to ask the procurement regulator. I want to ask the procurement regulator, what is the position with the 3.4 plenty money? 3.4 plenty money investigation. I want to ask about that because I commented that one just now. I'm dealing with the HGC contracts here now. Because you see, the contract scrap. No, I said plenty money.
Okay.
You see, the contract scrap. And for the contract to scrap, something had to be done. And if the contract scrap, it's simply because it is suggesting to us that all was not above board. So if an offense, if a breach of the act took place, how come nobody before the court? Madam Procurement Regulator, how come We hear about this investigation. What happened? This investigation, like my AC, every morning 2 o'clock you're going to sleep. Every morning 2 o'clock the AC going to sleep. I had to get up and wake him up. What going on with the investigation? Why we not hearing anything about this HGC contract? I went and I show you folks that some persons, according to document, did not even properly register Renison and get contracts. What going on here? How come we ain't hearing nothing? We hearing all kind of thing about Balize house. But how come we ain't hearing about all them house? For 3.4 billion. How we ain't hearing about that? We hearing court order. We hearing all kind of thing. But we ain't hearing nothing about that contracts. But those contracts. What about the 100 million on one little section in Landmark TT? What going on with that? We ain't hearing nothing about that. Like John Jeremie ain't know about that or what? John Jeremie ain't know about that? John Jeremie don't know about the $4.3 billion or the $3.4 billion, sorry. You don't know about Landmark TT? You don't know about 400 million in life sport? You ain't know about that? You ain't know about $3 million in a bank account with my mother only child? You ain't know about that either? What about the Pink Palace? What happened to the Pink Palace? How we hearing where money come from to build that? You see, I will tell you what's the problem in this country, you know. The problem in this country is that this country does allow politicians to get away with murder. This country allowing politicians to get away with murder. We had one man financing. One man spending money like water. Brandy, whiskey. Everybody nice. Toko Sandy Grande, here we come. We drinking brandy and we chasing with Hennessy. First it nice, brandy chasing brandy. But all in a sudden, after all the fet and wele, and all the jump, and all the jam, and this is not a cat boy, this is a tiger, and the roaring, oh! As they hear the win election, next thing we hear that this man is a big threat to the government. You know what you ain't hearing? You ain't hearing about the secret meeting that took place between some people from Tobago, some people from Trinidad, some people who sitting in the parliament. They'll tell you about that big meeting with a certain attorney. They'll tell you about that big meeting. But all in a sudden, the same man who financed, you know what they call him? They call him a threat to democracy. They started talk about threat on people's life. All the fed done, they get into government, and a matter of weeks, the same man who helped them win that seat, he is the biggest threat. You know what happened to him now? I wonder what happened to that investigation. A matter of fact, I saw a man in the parliament. Before anything happened, this man already rejoicing and talking about he there no more. All you remember that? You know, I ain't see nobody pulling in for questioning. All the utterance of Wayne Sturge in the parliament, you know, I ain't see nobody calling in for questioning. All the utterance from Wayne Sturge as it relates to Dana Sitahal, and he know who was listening, and he know who was just listening. You know, I ain't hear about no investigation about Wayne Sturge utterance. Leave it picture right there. All Kamala jump out herself, play fresh and jump out herself, and talk about 2 independent senators who tried to solicit bribe to vote for the Zoso. You know, all in a sudden, I ain't hearing about no investigation about that. On our next live, I will tell you something about that. I ain't hearing about no investigation. So they could jump in the parliament. They could talk all the truth. You know what they say? They have parliamentary privilege. So they could talk all what they want to talk. And we ain't hearing about no investigation because Wayne Sturge said that the police knew what was going on with Dana Sitahal. I never hear the commissioner of police came out and make a serious statement about what Wayne Sturge said in the parliament about Dana Sitahal. I am wondering if this is the same man who found the plant-like substance in the Pink Palace. I wonder if it's that, if the commissioner is that man. I wonder if he was a special branch officer that found that plant-like substance in the Pink Palace. I wonder if it's he. I must do some investigation. Because the last time I checked the merit list, I don't know. You see, this thing is a bigger thing than the thing that we think it is, you know. This thing is a bigger thing than the thing that we think it is. So we have a whole team of individuals. They say birds of a feather do all kind of things together.
And you know, the thing is, Dana Sitahal also knew she was going to get killed. She knew. Yes, she did. She chose not to have security around her. And she went on. And there was, well, if you are in the case, you would hear about the intercepts. There are intercepts. So the police is there listening, knowing that a high-profile prosecutor is going to be killed. And instead of doing what we did, you know what they did? They listened, and they listened, and they listened. And now she's not here. That's what they do.
Ladies and gentlemen, all listen that. What Wayne Sturge failed to tell the country is that what he is making reference to, it was the UNC. It was Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa government that was holding the hem of power. That is what he failed to tell you people. So according to him, the police were just listening, knowing that she was going to be killed. And all the police did was listen and listen and listen, and today she is not here with us anymore. What the Commissioner of Police have to say about Wayne Sturge's utterance in the Parliament? I want to tell you what he have to say. Absolutely nothing. I wonder if the producer will find the tape where Wayne Sturge made reference to something with Danny Guerra in the Parliament. I wonder if the producer will find that tape. And if he find that tape, I want a little listen to that tape attentively. If he find that tape, I want a little listen what Wayne Sturge said before any Mark boss. I want a little listen to Wayne Sturge. And if we ain't find it, we will get it. And we will play it for you another time. I want you to hear what Wayne Sturge said in the Parliament before the Mark boss. I want a little hear it. We do have it on the system, but we'll get it. And I want a little listen. So it seems as though the Parliament is the place that all the mischief is being concocted. And they spew it in the Parliament because they tell themselves that they have a certain level of privilege in the Parliament to say things that they would not be held accountable for. So what the commissioner said about this tape that we just played there, absolutely nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, all you believe that we have a group of individuals running this country who really, know what happened? They know, you know. All you don't know that they know, but they know. We have a group of individuals sitting in the Parliament running this country that we must ask the hard questions. For too long we haven't politicians moving with get out of jail card. So when they're supposed to be in jail, they're outside. You know the game Monopoly? When they're supposed to be in jail, they're outside. When they land or the boss to go to jail and they pull the card, get out of jail free, they laugh. They laugh. You know, if we had politicians going to jail, this country would be a better place today. But we have politicians, don't matter how corrupt they are, everything just keeps skipping. And I want to tell you why. I want to ask another question. With all that is happening in the Attorney General office, where are those so-called constitutional lawyers who used to be on the radio and TV every Monday morning condemning the PNM? Dr. Meredison, where the lawyers and them who used to be every Monday morning on a TV and a radio, on a morning brew, evening brew, midnight brew, 4-day morning brew, they're brewing all the time. PNM this, PNM and democracy, PNM the other, PNM what, PNM this. Where them lawyers today?
I wonder if the color can stay. I'm just saying that.
You're wondering if the color can state brief? You wondering? Boy, let me tell you something. I had some good lawyer friend that stopped calling me. All my lawyers friend that you know I had, they stopped calling me.
I wonder why is that?
I'm going to tell you why.
Right.
Because when I was standing up against the PNM with certain things, they were patting me on my back. Every function they have, I used to get an invite. They were cheering me on, go Roberts. Roberts, we with you. Go, Roberts. You're doing the thing right. You know what happened? When I start to talk against the UNC for doing worse than the PNM did,
They disappear.
all numbers cut. Like if I care. All friendship done. Saw them call me and say, oh God, Robert, just stay quiet now, boy. What you want? Tell me what you want.
And the legs are going to.
They call, they say, Robert, say what happening? Somebody tell me to talk to you on behalf of somebody.
Okay, okay.
What you want, just say what you want, Robert. And what I want remain the same, Jeffrey. What I want is good governance in this country. That is what I want. And that is what you cannot get under the UNC. You cannot get under the UNC. The UNC, let me tell you something. Let me tell you all of you, and watch me. Don't feel I ain't understand all of you who getting a little food in Wassa and who getting a little food here and there, you know. I understand when a man hungry, anything he get to full the belly, he just eat.
Poison and all. A man drinking poison.
Don't you have to mix it nice,
Yeah.
and it smell nice. So I understand when all you're hungry and a little food come. I understand. That is why I really in mashing up all you are supposed to, you know.
But who make them hungry? Who make them hungry? First.
Jeffrey, you asking me a dangerous question. You asking me but I had the answer, you know. I had the answer. And I could tell you the answer. And I'm going and tell you the answer. One of the reasons why the PNM lose the election, Jeffrey, I will tell you here today. Because just like you know, we always on the ground. The people on the ground believe that the PNM wasn't looking after them. When I was in the UNC, Jeffrey, that was one of the things that Kamla used to sing. Kamla used to sing that song. And the song sang so much that sometimes when you hear something in your ears for too long, you just end up believing it.
I like how you say that they believe. Because when everything come and lost out.
Listen. So the people them were murmuring. It come like the children of Israel. You remember the children of Israel after they came out of Egypt?
Yeah.
They started calling out to God, we hungry. Go outside. He sent manna from above. When they get quail, so they say, oh God, well, God, you will kill we with that boy. Every day, quail. You go kill we? So they keep more mind until God say, you see all you see that generation? All you go die right in the wilderness. Right in the wilderness, all you have to dead. Let me tell you something. You doesn't know, sometime a man doesn't know what he have until he lose it. And the country now recognizing that the worst PNM is better than the UNC. You understand what I just said?
Yeah.
The country now realize that the worst PNM is better than the UNC. The country now recognize that. We recognize it
Very early.
and we take a position.
Yeah, but we could still do something about it. That's why we here today.
And that is what we're trying to tell the people. And we will come with that because my time gone. That is what we want to tell them, you know. We want to tell them that, hey, here what happening. There is hope in the horizon. We have to explain to them because, Jeffrey, We help put the UNC in power, you know. We carry on from that, you know. We help give the UNC library and point. So when I hear these idiots talking, you know what I just do? A man send me a friend request, I accept it. Here where he send that friend request to tell me, Robert Hollier MC. You see the level of illiteracy with these people? So here I just do with them. I don't respond to idiots. However, I just block idiots. You understand? We help put the UNC in government. And that is why we had to stand up and help remove the UNC from government. We have to help put back the PNM in power. I don't care how all want to take that. Take that or whatever. Lie down, stand up, backward, forward. Take it anyhow.
But it's over 400 people on the live want to hear what you say. So
we're going to put the PNM back in power.
And we need to be pen.
And we need Ole to come and, just like how Ole listened to us when we was with the UNC. Ole had to listen to us because we left. Listen, we could have still be sitting in the UNC and doing like my lawyer partner and my friend and them, you know, eating our food, you know. But we understand that there is some food that you just cannot eat. There is some food that will never digest in the digestive system. And we took a position because the UNC were bent on keeping the corrupt individuals and putting back the corrupt individuals into office. And we took a stand against that because we cannot condemn the PNM and talk about the corruption in the PNM and then we lift the UNC up, who is worse than the PNM. We cannot do it. And we took a position, and the position that we took it before the election. We came out and we tell the people in this country that there was a plan by the UNC to mash up what they call the PNM base. We tell you folks that y'all would not be employed under the UNC. We tell you folks, all you will lose all the work. We tell all the CPEP going. We tell all the URP going. We tell all the deforestation going. We tell all you everything going. All you didn't believe we. You know what some other CPEP people tell me? They can't do that because we have contracts. We have contracts. All they didn't know that the UNC, they don't plan to take away the tracks from all you. All they didn't know that. All you end up with nothing. And the little so-called influencers who eating a little food. Let me tell you something. I understand why they're eating, you know. I understand why they're eating. But I have a message for them. But not tonight. Let me tell you something. My forefathers under the colonial masters, you know what happened to them? My forefathers were thrown overboard with chains into the sea. You know why? Because they fail to submit themselves to that level of oppression. They rejected it. They rather die than to say, yeah, massa. They rather die than to be oppressed. And let me tell you something. There is some people in this country who will not accept that level of oppression There is some people in this country who will speak out despite whatever ills awaits them. There is some people in this country who don't care about PDO and PDR and P whatever. You know why? Because they will stand up and speak out for what is right, and don't matter what it costs in this country. We will stand up and speak out against the ills in this society. The wealth of this country belongs to the country. It belongs to the people. The poor, the oppressed, and the downtrodden have a share in the wealth. Why we believe that the wealth is only for one category of persons in this country? Why we want to follow the caste system when coming to the wealth? We not accepting that. The minerals from this country didn't came from the politician. It came from the creator. Why this country is so many people suffering with poverty in this country? You know why? Because of the politicians who believe the wealth of the country belongs to them. That is the reason why. They believe that the wealth of the country is for their pocket and their pocket only. And let me tell you something with these rotten thieves. The more the thief is, the more they want the thief. All you ever think for a minute, all you ever spend time, Redison, to check when Rowley changed the money, how much money never came in?
Yeah. I hear about a man had a pallet of money.
Jeffrey, go to the central bank records and you will see $2 billion never came in the treasury. Where that money? I hear just recently somebody talking about bring back the cotton notes.
Anan Ram Logan.
Talking about bring back the cotton notes. Anan, was it you that talking about bring back the cotton notes?
Yeah, it was Anan.
Ram Logan, it was you? The records will show $2 billion never came in. Where that money is, Jeffrey? So we have a call to bring back the cotton notes. Ladies and gentlemen, my time gone. I think every Friday, Jeffrey, every Friday, please God, we will have this program running. And let us set a time for this program. We'll set a time as 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. 1 hour. Very soon, I'll go be able to call back in and so on. We have some layers breakdown in the system and things, so we repair it. But every Friday, God's willing, I will be right here. We will start back this program. We'll get a new name for this program, Jeffrey.
Why you don't want to call it facts, not fiction? I understand.
You see, we go change up something in that. We go change up something in that. You see, that program is a program that I had running under the UNC.
Okay.
And I will change some things in that name. We might just call it Strictly Facts.
Right.
Strictly Facts, we could call it.
Yeah.
And we will work with that going forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, sorry you can't call in because you know I like to answer the hard questions. And I'm afraid no question. You all take care. stand strong, unite, because we have to fix Trinidad and Tobago. I am prepared to give Penny Beckers a chance. I am prepared. And as time goes on, I will tell you folks why. I gone.
Victor, the next time you come here, I think I get some of that burning.